basically there are theories of how to interpret the Constitution.
Right.
And starting in the 1940s, actually the 1920s, the first decision about body autonomy or right to privacy was concerned a forced sterilization of mentally ill people. And that is when it's called the penumbra. It's not strictly written in the Constitution, but it's an implied intent, a penumbra. The word isn't there, but that's where the body of law on right to privacy begins. And it applies to any type of body autonomy issue, contraception, non-forced sterilization, all kinds of privacy rights for prisoners. There's just hundreds and hundreds of decisions all across the board in every aspect of our lives based upon this in every fundamental way. Mm. And so what the new vogue that started with Scalia was, well, let's get rid of interpretation that makes sense for human beings. And let's go back to a thing called originalism. So the opinion uses originalism, just like the gun right opinion did yesterday. And it's basically an analysis of what white slaveholders would have done based upon their letters back in the 1700s. And if a right is not recognized at that time, it doesn't exist unless it's been written into the Constitution through an amendment. So if the word marriage doesn't appear in the Constitution, contraception doesn't. So an originalist would say, if that word is not there, there's no right. It's not intended by the framers. If the word is there, like arms, then they have to decide, is it an elevated right, like a First Amendment right, or is it a secondary right? The decision yesterday elevated the right to bear arms without regard to the language well-regulated militia into a primary fundamental right that cannot be burdened. In reading that decision from yesterday, it says ordinary law-abiding citizens have the right to bear arms without infringement. So my read is the new test is that you must be ordinary and you must be law-abiding. And if you meet those two tests, you can have a gun. If you don't meet those two tests, then you are not able to have one. So it'll be interesting to see how the states react, and they're reacting fast to that. I think that the bills that are going through Congress right now, half of it is going to be held unconstitutional because it's about the right to possess, to buy, as opposed to the right to have things taken away if you do something bad. So all of this stuff relying on, the witch doctor, the witch judge, and all that stuff is gone. The really nasty bits and that, but it's still there. And going back to British precedent on what people were thinking about, is there a right to abortion at the time? And there's clearly not. Women didn't have any rights. We couldn't own anything. We could inherit stuff, and then if we got married, it'd all go away. So we didn't really have our rights until 1972.